Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. And our guest today is John Hewitt. And we will speak about the next very important principles of the exponential growth. And topic today will be vision. Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Thank you for being an amazing guest on our podcast and your time that you dedicate to share with people your knowledge and experience. Let's speak about the vision today, how it was important in your life and in your career.
Well, a couple things about vision. Number one is I built now my third huge company, and the first two were two of the top 100 largest retail chains in the country, and now I'm on my way to my third. And so I've learned a bunch about vision in my 56-year career. Started out with that when we would have planning sessions, we would get the executives of the company together, whether it was two of us or three of us, or as we grew, it was 5, 6, then 40 of us. And what I learned is that very few people have vision, but everyone wants to be a part of planning the long term. So that's a bit of a nuisance that when you have, as I did when I left Liberty Tax, when Liberty Tax peaked, I had 40 people in our management group, and we would go on a retreat and talk about where we're going to be in the future. But most of the people didn't have vision. Now, no, people don't really realize that they don't have a great capability of envisioning the future. And not only that, there are many people that are there. People fall into three categories, right? They're optimists or pessimists or realists. And really, you don't want to have your vision get guided mainly by the pessimist or the realist. And so that it's a challenge to get the right people, yet make your challenge to get the right people to make into decisions, but excluding the others from the conversation, because they feel then they don't buy into the vision if they're not in if they're not in the room when you're discussing where you're going to be in 5 years. They feel they don't buy it. So it's an interesting tightrope you have to walk when you talk about vision. But let's start with the back of why you need to be optimistic. And I will tell you, when I started competing with H&R Block in 1982, they had 9,000 offices. And you may recall I acquired 6 offices from Mel Jackson's widow. So I had 6 offices, and H&R Block had 9,000. The second largest preparer in the country had just 200. And so when you think about an industry like that with one guy's got 9,000, and the second largest had 200, and I had 6. There's my vision is there's an obvious void in the market of a competitor. And my view, and proven, I think, that there's always room for at least 2 or 3 players. There's always a Burger King to a McDonald's. There's always a Target or a Walmart or a Kmart to a Walmart. There's always a second, and there's always, you have Ford and General Motors and Toyota and now Tesla. There's always competitor, and you can't have a monopoly. And so there was a clear void. So when I raised money in 1982 to start what became Jackson Hewitt, to buy 6 Mel Jackson offices, I told my investors, we're gonna have 9,001 offices. Now that's insane. Who would believe that? That's not realistic. That's not. You can't have a negative outlook and get to 9,000. Now Jackson Hewitt never got to 9,000, but they got to 6,000, and they got to be $1 billion company. So you have to realize that you have to set optimistic goals, and you have to reach for the stars, but you have to bring realism to that. And we'll talk about how to bring realism to your goals. But you start with, okay, where do I want to be? I would much rather set a goal of 9,000 and only get to 6,000 than set a goal of 900 and get to 2,000. You know what I'm saying? So you need to have the right people in the room. And if you don't have the vision, then you certainly better find people that do.
Yes. How we aim, what we aim will determine our actions. Yes. If we think big, we start planning big, and we feel big because we will connect to the bigger vision, and this is how we will start feeling different, and our feelings will cause our different actions. And why you think that it is so important to start reconditioning our mind? Because most of people were conditioned to be realistic because we were taught in schools, think how you can get there, think what is possible. Even they call the goal smart goal because it is like realistic, measurable. Yeah, so why I think it is important really to question the status quo about setting goals and really go for big dreams, for big vision. And how, the next question, how to get other people to buy into your vision when you already have it.
Yeah, the let's start with there's I heard it said very well in a book, and first I heard her being interviewed on the radio, and she was talking about her book, and it was Kathy Lee Gifford, and she had written a book, and in the book, she one of her chapters is the called the Age of Bliss, and you're exactly right that she said that until you're about 7, 8, or 9, you think you can do anything. You believe in Santa Claus. You believe in the Easter Bunny. You believe in the Tooth Fairy. You could be Superwoman or Superman, or you could be Batman, or you could be You could be a superhero. You could be president of the United States. You could do anything. And then about that age, everyone beats you down. I mean, your friends, your enemies, your teachers, your parents. Oh, honey, that's too, you'll never be able to do that. That you can't do that because of this. And everyone will try to around you. Most people around you are normal and or average, and they want to bring you into the group. They don't want you to raise your head outside of stay within the herd. Don't go over there because it's dangerous. And it is dangerous. It's different because the herd's over here. If you go over there, you might fail. Well, there's no one that ever accomplished anything great without risking failing, without risking discomfort. And so she said what she said in her book, which was very well. I hadn't heard it enunciated this way. She said, "You got to get back in that age of bliss. You gotta think outside the box, and you have to stop limiting yourself by what others tell you can't do." And so I realized right then I had an epiphany that that's one of the ways that I'm different than other people. They never beat me down. I was always Mr. Cocky and to evolve. And when I was young, before I accomplished any success in business, it's called cocky. But once you establish a billion dollar company or half $1 billion company, now you're confident. And I was confident slash cocky that I was going to succeed and accomplish great things. And I never got out of that. I'm blessed. One of my many, many blessings is that they never convinced me that I couldn't do anything. So I've always lived in this outside the herd. I've gone my own path, and it's enabled me to accomplish great things. And there was one of the phrases is, if a ship can't discover new lands if it always stays in sight of shore. You got to let go, right? You got to let go and get out of the sight of land before you can find some new land. And most people can't do that. So I encourage people to get outside of the box, to be all that you can be. If you listen to others, then you're going to be like them and be in the circle of others. The great leaders like the Steve Jobs from Apple and Bill Gates from Microsoft, those people, they stepped out into Never Land, and with huge risk, and without risk, I mean huge, no risk, no reward.
Yes, as you said that some people are realistics, and they think that I have to see the facts, and then based on what I see, I can make the plan and can build my vision. And so let's speak about this because for some people they are so realistic and they are so much in logic in their left brain where they think how things should do, and that's why they mostly of time they plan and plan and plan. Also they can be perfectionists because they want to be right, they want to be successful, and they want to know how they will achieve their goal. So let's speak about this, why this doesn't work if we really want to speak about big goals and big visions.
One reason it doesn't work is the people around you are thinking that same way primarily. And if you think like everyone else, it's sort of like David and Goliath, right? Goliath had killed 188 guys, and they picked David to go fight him. And so 188 guys had thought realistically, I'm going to put on a sword and a shield and armor, and somehow I'm going to defeat Goliath. Well, David said he thought unrealistically and said, you know what, if I put on a sword, same shield, same armor, then I'm just going to be the 189th guy killed by Goliath. So what am I going to do different than those first 188 guys? And he came out and he won. And he did it by thinking outside the box. You can only accomplish normal things if you act in the ways that you've already been taught. You have to, there's no invention in normalcy. You have to do something different, and you have to take a risk. And so many people, you're right, we're taught in school, we are graded on our papers from making mistakes, right? And one thing, the Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx, you're not old enough to remember a world where there was no FedEx, but 60 years ago there was no way to deliver a package in 1 day or 2 days, right? You had to go by U.S. mail or some slower method. And Fred Smith in college, he wrote a book on this company, which was the foundation of Federal Express. And he wrote the book, and he wrote a paper on it, and he got a D. He got a D from the professor because the professor was a realist and said, this is unrealistic. Well, he took that paper and founded one of the highest performing, biggest top 100 companies in the world. From this paper in college, he got a D. He almost failed because the professor said, no, you can't do that. If everyone agrees with you, you're going down the wrong path, because most people do not succeed in life, do not have massive success. And so you look, one commonality amongst the people with massive success is they do things different from the norm.
Yes, the common denominator of success is that successful people do things which failures don't like to do. That is why they can afford to have things that the rest cannot. So it is totally different way how to do things according to the laws. Yes, the laws of mind and the laws of the universe, which most of people don't know until they go and discover those laws. And it looks totally different things because most of the time people use their five senses to communicate with physical world, and they make their assumptions and decisions based on what they can see. And when we speak about success, it comes from the vision. This is why vision is so important, because first you come not from what you see, otherwise you will get the same. Yes, if you just think about what you see and you make your plans based on what you see, you will not go anywhere further. So this is why vision is so important, because your vision should be so much higher and further than your current results. And this is how you start thinking from that place and using your imagination. Can you tell us about this quality which helped you in your business? How imagination really helped you to see that vision and take actions which were not in your physical realm yet?
Well, when you start, and you mentioned this earlier, that if you set outlandish, difficult things, difficult challenges. If you're going to, our goal was to have 9,001 offices, and we needed to add 8,995 offices. So you do things different than if your goal is, okay, we're going to take our 6 offices up to 100. Most people would be like, wow, that's not realistic, and that's difficult. But we didn't set it at 100; we set it at 9,000. And so you have to do different things. So, for example, one of the biggest examples is we were in trying to figure out how to grow more exponentially, grow faster. We looked at our competitor H&R Block. They were in 800 Sears stores. Well, about this, and we weren't in any Sears store, so we didn't have a retail relationship that we could put our offices inside a large retail establishment. I mean, this is back in the 80s when Sears, and early 90s when Sears was really a strong company. But we saw the rise of Walmart. And so in 1993, we had about 800 offices now, and H&R Block still had 9,000. And today they have 9,000. For 43 years, 43 years, they've gone up and down, but they're still where they were 43 years ago. But Walmart was growing rapidly, and they were up to over 2,000 locations. Sears only had 800. So we said, thinking outside the box, we said, you know what? If H&R Block has 800 Sears, we should have 1,000 or 2,000 Walmarts. And so we reached out to this conglomerate, this huge organization, and I called them up and said, I want to talk to you. And so I went in February 1993. It was Fat Tuesday. It was because I eventually went to my first Mardi Gras on the way home. But that was the first time I'd been to Mardi Gras. First time I'd been to Bentonville, Arkansas, little town in Arkansas that where Sam Walton started. And we made a commitment that within 3 years we'll be in Walmart. And so, and we were. And it took a while. We had to do some dances because at the time they were actually experimenting with H&R Block, and H&R Block was already in 50 Walmarts. And they said, and I was disappointed when I left there. They said, well, we're just testing. We don't know if we like tax preparation in our Walmart stores. But the good news was they said, if we do decide we like tax preparation, we like to have 2 vendors. And there were only 2 national vendors, right? There was H&R Block with 9,000 and Jackson Hewitt with 800, and no one else had even 100. So I said, oh, if they decide they like tax, then we got it in. And so, but he liked me enough that he put me in touch with Sam's Club. And so instead of being in Walmart, we were in 13 Sam's Clubs. And it worked. To make a long story short, 4 years later, they had thrown H&R Block out of Walmart, and Jackson Hewitt had an exclusive in Walmart. And today, that was 1997. In 2025, there are 3,000 Jackson Hewitt Walmart stores and no H&R Block Walmart stores. So it was huge. Today, out of the 6,000 Jackson Hewitt locations, there are 3,000 of them are in Walmart. And think about it: if we'd only want to grow to 100 locations or 200, we would have never gone to Walmart to help accelerate our growth. And now they're doing half of the company is just because of that decision we made in February '93. Because in the back of our mind, we're going to 9,000, and so you got to do something different. And so you got to be bold, and we were bold.
Yes. So first is have vision, and then also coming from that vision, make irrevocable committed decision. What you really want to do, and what is your first step.
Exactly. And an important part of vision is that we exercise every year. We have a planning meeting every year. And I've done this for 30 years now, 33 years. This will be my 33rd year of doing this. So we get the executives together, the managers of the company, and we sit down and talk about our strengths, weaknesses, threats, opportunities, a SWOT analysis. And then we decide we know what our long-term goal is, to be 9,000 locations. We say, okay, where are we going to be within 5 years? And so that's a huge goal. And then we spend time, we discuss it, and then come up with I get to be the consensus. Say, okay, if you guys think this and you think this is the number we're going to shoot for. And then we say, okay, if we're going to be there in 5 years, if we're going to have 2,000 in 5 years, how many do we need to have in 3 years? Okay, 1,200. Well, if we're going to have 1,200 in 3 years, then, so we do a 5-year or 3-year, and then we break it down and, okay, we're going to have 1,200 in 3 years, then we need 500 this year. And we're at 270. So we say, okay, if we're going to add 230 locations, this is how many people, this is how much franchise advertising we need to have. This is how many people we have to have that are in training. This is how many people we have to train. This is how much we have to spend in marketing to get new franchises and so forth. So everyone leaves that retreat with, okay, they know where we want to be in 5 years, 3 years, and 1 year. And then every month of this year, if we're going to train over the next 12 months, if we're going to train 150 people, and if it was ratable, okay, we're going to train 12 and a half people a month. And so we need X number of trainers. We need X amount of advertising to find those people. We need X number of people to interview them and so forth. So everything starts really long term, and then 5 years, 3 years, and then 1 year, and then down to monthly goals. It's just, you can't just have some pie in the sky 5-year plan without getting it down to, okay, what does that mean I have to do today? Because as I said, not everyone's and you agree, not everyone's a visionary. Some people need to know, okay, realistically, and what does that mean for each month? And so everyone can buy into the short term. The long term is hard for most people to fathom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so where the persistence comes. Persistence is so important that Napoleon Hill dedicated the whole chapter to persistence in his book, Think and Grow Rich. And I think also a lot of what we discuss is related to the book. So, how is it important to be persistent? Because people can be inspired, they can hear something or see something and get inspired. Yes, let's go for that. And then, like, day comes, they start planning, and then 1 week, another month comes, and nothing happens. So, how important is persistent in actions, not just in planning and thinking and dreaming, but really how it is important to make decision from what you have today and take the first step. That what you have and what you can do, and then persist, do this again and again every day.
It's a key thing to long-term success, and it's everyone gets knocked down, everyone gets punished, God doesn't put anyone here to escape, and we have to we're going to get knocked down, and the winners get up each and every time. And at some point, the loser quits. Could be the first negativity or the second or the fifth, but sooner or later they quit. The winners never quit. They keep going.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. It was great discussion.
It
Appreciate
was
it.
always wonderful to see you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.